Jim never commits to fun unless it's pranks, is our first fan theory from The Office. So if you love diving deep into television, movies, and even records, especially if you're an Office stan like me, definitely keep listening to hear what people are saying and see if you agree or disagree. So this fan theory says, why does Jim never fully commit to fun unless it's one of his pranks? Jim spends hours and even days plotting ways to prank Dwight. He'd move his desk, spend days meatballing him, but when it's an office party or time to dress up for Halloween, Jim comes in as like 3-hole punch Jim, acting like he's better than everyone else, and he's too good for the office. And it kind of reminds me of people who are in like corporate jobs, and all they like to do is like complain about things instead of actually do the work. That's just what it reminds me of before even hearing people's reactions from this. And I think it's very common that like people are just kind of like, work is here, you go in, you get your paycheck, you're not supposed to like it, and you come out. A lot of people don't prank like he does, especially people who work remotely. It's kind of hard to do that. But a lot of people, I feel like, live in this narrative of like, I hate work, of like, oh, I hate my job. Doesn't work suck? And it's kind of this like cool guy syndrome, or even women do it too, where it's just like, oh, I hate my job, but like that shows that I'm a hard worker, right? Because I work so hard. Let's see what some other people have to say about it. I love this comment to this fan theory. This is a whole long-term character arc where he eventually realizes this flaw of himself and opts to change when he dresses as Popeye with his wife and baby. And I love that because he was hesitant that whole episode, I remember, of dressing up. He's like, no, it's stupid. No, I don't want this. But then it's kind of this idea of like, this coming to age moment where, you know, you have to humble yourself a little bit when you're a dad, even when you're a husband. And are you going to let your ego get in the way of you just like having a good time? That's why I love seeing very obvious character arcs in TV shows like this, because at the beginning, like he is a kid. I mean, he's what, probably in his early mid-20s. He's joking around. He, yes, obviously is in love with Pam, but other than that, like, he could give a crap less about this office. And by the end of it, when Michael is leaving, he's really emotional and he's built connections there. And I think a big part of it is because he's understood what it is like to have a deep level connection to Pam, to his baby now. And I feel like when you have more people in your life who you start to love, you kind of let that stuff go. I can only imagine when you become a mom that there's so many things that you said you wouldn't do. But then when you're a mom, you're like, what? Like, it's fun. Who cares? And there's just these moments where you just have to humble yourself a little bit. And I did love that episode because I felt like it was this realization that he's like, okay, am I really going to choose like my ego and my feeling like I'm way too cool for this over my literal wife just wanting to be with me? Like, no, this is ridiculous. I'm going to do it for my wife and baby because it's cute. Apparently, there are a lot of Jim haters in this whole subreddit. And so someone says because Jim is a bully who commits himself to tormenting people he sees as dumb or worse with pranks, but fears being seen dumb as himself. Now, I personally have opinions about pranks. Obviously, it's a TV show, so like I'm not going to get that deep. It's literally a TV show. That's why it's there. But I don't like pranks. I don't find them funny. I feel like when people are pulling pranks and then when something actually happens to them in real life, like you're not going to believe them because they always pull pranks. I don't know. Maybe it's because when I was a kid, my dad always read The Boy Who Cried Wolf. So I'm always just like, I'm not going to pull a prank. Like I'm serious. If something's happening, it's serious. And I do feel like people who are pulling pranks, like it is a little bit of a bully move. Like I don't get it, especially pranks between couples. I'm just like, that would make me not trust you. Like I don't like that. There is a part to that also where it's like, guys, it's just a show. Like it's just a show, and the stapler in the Jell-O is a staple of the show, no pun intended, and that's what makes it funny. So it's really not that serious either. Now, while some people think that Jim is just really smudge and he's just a jock and he's really mean and a bully, some other folks are saying things like not wanting to participate in silly morale-boosting shenanigans at work, but doing it anyways at a minimum to show solidarity is a sign of a healthy person. His pranks were his art. And it reminds me of how businesses won't give you a raise, but they'll be like pizza party, holiday party, all that like virtue signaling for, oh, we don't have it in the budget to give you a raise, but we're going to give you this. So I also get that too. I get like not being excited about things like that and just giving the bare minimum because you're like, all right, you're paying my bills, but I'm not going to like kneel below you and like worship the ground you walk on because you ordered pizza for us. So I get that too. Another person says some people just aren't into costumes and dressing up. And that's what this original fan theory was about. It's like he wasn't dressing up for Halloween, but he was doing all these pranks. Jim is a bit insecure. They say we see it in situations where he's caught off guard and around people cooler than him. And I feel that too. I remember when Pam's ex came into play and he was like, ooh, and then there was that whole cringe moment where they were like, tell Pam that you don't like her anymore or something. That was so weird. But you can see his insecurity, and obviously bullies, if we're gonna go along the fact that he is like a bully to Dwight, which he is, it all comes from insecurity. Jim does never fully commit to fun because he is a bit of a bully. He is a bit insecure. But I think when he gets with Pam and when they have kids, he ends up becoming more of an adult about it all. Fan theory number 2 is that the downfall of Ryan Howard is so satisfying. We have this still here where he goes, I don't need a judge to tell me to keep my community clean. Jim goes, but he did, right? Other folks say things like, or the one where he sees Ryan getting arrested and he leaves him a message telling him that he probably has his hands full. And Ryan is kind of that like jerky, douchey tech bro that I think we're seeing a lot, especially as AI emerges. These guys who just feel like, oh my God, they have the best idea ever. And you're just kind of like, all right, literally no one cares except for you. I mean, yeah, you can raise a Series A seed funding of $5 million, but like, can you actually implement it? Like anyone can do that. Not anyone, but you can raise money, but can you actually create a product that will yield it? And for Ryan, I don't think he ever did. I think he was really innovative. I think he had a lot of good ideas, but he is just that like really douchey guy where you're just like, dude, can you just like stop, please? While some people might find this funny, some other people kind of feel bad for him. Someone said it's actually not satisfying to me, but it's sad. Early Ryan was just a normal guy that, like all of us, were like, what the fuck nonsense is going on in this office? Was straight up loony by the end when he started out grounded. I think he had a chip on his shoulder. Like, I think he always felt like he was so much better than everyone else. And folks are like immediately rebutting this. They're just like, his arc from disenfranchised to corporate suck up is such an accurate journey though for many. And immediately reading this, I'm like, yes, because I have met people who like have such a strong stance about something until that thing happens to them and then all of a sudden they're quiet. I remember like when I was in theater school and there was someone who was very staunchly against like the main stage productions that the program was putting on. So like every year we would have a certain amount of main stage theater productions, like a show that would be put on, like Parade or Wild Party. There would be like musicals and plays and stuff. And I remember one specific girl was just like, oh my gosh, I hate how they're doing Parade. There are way too many men in this. This is stupid. But then she got cast in it and then she stopped talking about it. Like just all of a sudden, really conveniently, everything just whoop, like nothing else was said about it. And I feel like this sort of thing happens with people who also are just like, screw the rich, and then they become rich and then they're just like, I'm not going to say anything, right? Obviously, like this can all be nuanced, but you do see this in corporate a lot. So like continuing with this particular person's perspective on this, like the number of people they're saying they've worked with in hospitality and office and call center settings that were just like, they were chill, if not slightly anti-authoritarian person, but the moment they get a promotion into like a pseudo leadership role, completely flips the script and becomes the very thing they loathed. You come in and you immediately see all these things that are wrong with management. You're just like, screw this. But then the moment they're offered more money, they're like, well, I'm okay screwing people over because now I can afford a bigger house. This person continues, there are people out there that act like the people around them to not rock the boat fit in, but then they don't consider those people around them are their equals. So the moment they go up, they suddenly have a different role to fit in and just change themselves again and rinse and repeat. So yes, it's sad in some ways because who wants to live life like that? But it's also satisfying because we've all worked with and potentially been shafted by that person. I mean, yes, it is so satisfying to see this. And some other folks are saying like, this may be unpopular, but this is one of my favorite dynamics in the show. You can like love the downfall of someone, but also love the dynamics of it. That's what makes a show really interesting. They said, I love when Ryan was at corporate. I wish they had more seasons on it before his fall. And this great quote that someone adds in here, convergence, viral marketing. We're going guerrilla. We're taking it to the streets while keeping an eye on the street. Wall Street. I don't want to reinvent the wheel here. In other words, it is what it is. Buying paper just became fun. That sounds exactly like those guys I was telling you about right at the beginning. Like there's just, especially with these AI, like we're not just another AI company. I was just talking to someone a few days ago and they were asking for feedback about like their whole business model. And one of the pieces of feedback I was giving them was like, stop saying what you're not. Like it's so annoying hearing other business owners and like websites. It's like, we're not just another blank. And it's like, okay, then just tell us what you are. Because the thing is, everyone thinks they're not just another blank. No one starts a business and they're like, let's make a business and it'll just be like every other like, yes, everybody thinks their business is not just another. It's just like everybody thinks that their kids are the best thing in the world. But no one else does. It reminds me of like those people who have podcasts and they say things that are completely like regurgitated life coach advice that people have been saying for 15 years, but they drop it like it is the most life-changing, earth-shattering thing ever. And it's so funny. Ryan is such a good mirror of so many people we're seeing on social media right now. We're doing something no one's ever done before. Like even those job descriptions that you see on LinkedIn, like we're looking for someone who's gonna go the extra mile, and we're looking for someone who's gonna really put their all into it. It's just like, oh, whatever. No one cares about it as much as you do. Like, shut up. It's so annoying, which is what makes Ryan such a great character. Completely agreed. I love seeing his downfall, not just because like, oh my God, the corporate fuckboy is so annoying, but it is an interesting dynamic to watch on screen, and that's why we watch shows. Like, God, Ryan was such a good character, and we love to hate him, and we hate to love him. By the way, if you're liking this so far, and you love diving really deep into fan theories on your favorite television shows, movies, and records, definitely hit subscribe. My name is Kira, this is Studio Violet, and I'm so happy you're here. Fan theory number 3 is that Slumdunda Mifflinaire is the hardest scene to watch, and I'm gonna share a clip from exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, I'm thinking. I'm going to say B, tour of Dartmouth College.
That is correct. How did you know that?
Oh! Oh! Ah! I was there! Ah! I was a tour guide at Dartmouth College. No!
If you've seen the bloopers from The Office, you know how much this entire cast just cannot get through a scene without cracking up because everyone is so funny. I guarantee when they shot that section of like Dwight and Stanley, that was not when they were actually doing that because they could not have kept a straight face. The argument over here is that like this is the hardest scene to watch, not Dinner Party. No, not Scott's Tots. No. Slumdunda Mifflinaire. And I wonder if they're talking specifically about how like they basically divulge the fact that a branch is closing. I have the transcript right here from theoffice.fandom.com. Like the third, I think, question is, Holly says, the economic downturn has been difficult recently, forcing the closures of both Camden and Yonkers to be followed soon by what other branch? And we remember David Wallace at the beginning of it being like, I have not seen this. I have not seen the, he's just like, don't hold me accountable for any of this. I have not seen the skit. Unfortunately, they divulged that Buffalo is closing and they didn't know that. They weren't allowed to say that, and now everybody knows and everyone's freaking out. So I don't know if like that's the reason why this person thinks that it's cringe or just like the entire skit as a whole, like a company sitting on the ground with team shirts watching an HR person and a branch manager like doing a skit that's like maybe a little bit not even racist, but just like just a little bit weird for them to be doing, and he's doing an accent like I can see, yeah. But the thing is, like, lots of people are arguing over here saying, like, no. Scott's Tot is the cringiest. Phyllis's wedding because she broke wind. And someone else is saying, like, yeah, it's cringy, but only from an IRL point of view. Like, it's actually super cute and adorable, and it shows why Michael and Holly are perfect for each other. You guppies aren't built for The Office if you're incapable of seeing the ridiculousness of it instead of the beautiful aspect these two have for each other. They don't care how the world perceives them. They just see and intertwine with each other, and there's something lacking in you if you can't see that. I mean, I think two things can be true at the same time. You can think that it's cringe, and you can also be like, well, that's cringe. That's their cringy world, and that's cute to emphasize that someone else goes, yeah, I'm happy Michael and Holly found each other and are happy, but it's not something you want to look at. Yeah, it's like those people who have like PDA when you're at the, Disney and they're in line and you're like, I'm glad you're happy, but can you just not do it like here? It's kind of weird. And still other people say, no, there's cringier, i.e. Jim hugging and grabbing Pam while she's still in a relationship with Roy. That was hard. This is yet another example of Holly being wildly ill-suited for a job in HR. I mean, there are crazy people in HR. So spoken from one of these commenters, what is the best part of this episode? A, the branch shutting down. B, the end credits. C, the delay tactics by Dwight. Or D, brushing your teeth. Fan theory number 4, somebody in the office actually is the Scranton Strangler, but it is not Toby or Creed. Who is it and what is your evidence? Now, this person doesn't actually have a theory. I've always thought it was Creed because it's just kind of like, okay, obviously Creed, like he's an enigma, he obviously did it. I'm just gonna go down the list of what some people are saying, and you can just kind of flag in the comments which one you agree with. One person says, it's Nate. The timing, kind, simpleton act is just that, an act. Proof. The victims were all found with a coupon for 1 free strangling. Someone else says D'Angelo Vickers. My evidence is that he was a terrible person. Angela, did you see her rage during the Charles Minor episode? That cat licker will choke anybody. Someone else just says 3 simple words. The Lizard King. Danny Cordray. He's a little too charming and smiley. He's always traveling. So it'd be easy to skip town after a murder without anybody questioning it. And he never called Pam back because strangling someone from work would be too risky, and he had to just ghost her in order to resist the temptation. Ryan. He's the person I most medium suspect. Kevin threatened to kill Aaron and Danny. My money's on him. Andy is a candidate. He does have anger issues. He goes away for anger management course. But what do we know he did in that time? Gabe. The Strangler is never mentioned until Gabe appears. He watches a ton of horror movies, probably gets all amped up on seahorse powder and seeks out victims. Gets away with it due to misidentification because he looks like a transvestite. The show's words, not mine. So you let us know in the comments, who do you think is the Scranton Strangler? If you like shows with improv, obviously you like The Office, but you might also like Girls. And if you do watch Girls, I break down a ton of fan theories on that show. So go ahead and watch that next. Thanks so much for hanging out today, and I will see you next time, friend. Bye.